Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Storm Report. I'm Ron Lighthall alongside Terry Spain. Terry, welcome to Studio R, our temporary studio while we get things underway with Tom's Watch Bar, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about Tom's Watch Bar, but I like Studio R, man. You did a great job in here, man.
You know what? We put some pieces together. We want to thank our sponsors, Zoa Energy Drink. We got sponsors coming on board. We're working with them right now. But you and I are getting these things rolling, man. We are, I visited Tom's Watch Bar.
Yeah,
It is going to be off the chain. I tell you what, I know the last time you and I talked, you had an exuberance and an excitement about Tom's Watch Bar. And I'll tell you, I have that now after my visit, man. I am excited about broadcasting there high atop Orlando.
I'm telling you, I'm glad you got an opportunity to experience that, because I tell you, every time that I go, it's a different experience. So we're going to bring a lot of flavor, a lot of excitement to the Tom's Watch Bar. But not only that, just for the UFL and the Orlando Storms, we're definitely going to bring a lot of excitement.
We have a lot of things going on this week. Of course, this Thursday night is Fan Fest here on February 5th. For those of you, make sure you check your calendars because there was a date change on that. So, make sure you check and verify. But that Fan Fest is coming up, and you're out of town. So I will be over there at Fan Fest. I want to see the excitement. I want to see the stadium. There's just so much going on right now behind the scenes, but it is a blistering pace that people really don't see because it's not, right in your face.
Yeah, and there's a lot of moving parts, like you mentioned before. The behind the scenes stuff, people don't get credit for doing a lot of these different things, but they have to bring the excitement to the city. They don't want to, they took some of the notes that they learned from the Orlando Guardians at that time, and now they're trying to make those things better and have the fans get more interactive and more excited, because football here in Orlando, what a treat.
And I tell you, with Jacksonville Jaguars going to have a temporary home in Orlando, Orlando with UCF and now with the Orlando Storm, you're going to have the Jaguars here for a year. You've got all these great bowl games that we host during bowl season.
Yeah.
It is just an incredible experience for pigskin enthusiasts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm ready. I almost laced up put my helmet back on to see if I can get me any years of eligibility left or anything.
So let's talk about where you were this past weekend. You were at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. What a great venue that is and an experience. You and I, of course, did its ancillary cousin there, the Hula Bowl. But the Senior Bowl, the Panini Senior Bowl there in Mobile, is really where the percentage of those players that are going to at least be looked at by the NFL is extraordinarily high.
Yeah, I had an opportunity. I've been covering the Senior Bowl for 25 years, Ron, and it gets better every year. And just to see these young men make it to the next level. And one of the things, it's the path to the draft. It's the last stop to the NFL Combine that's in Indianapolis. And just to see these young men lay it all out on the field, and some people, their draft stock rises just because of the Senior Bowl. And so you see some people who were invited to the Shrine Bowl. They also got invited to the Senior Bowl as well as the Hula Bowl. There were, I think, four candidates that came from out of the Hula Bowl that were actually invited to come to the Senior Bowl. And Hilton, one of the wide receivers from Louisiana LSU, he was one of the ones that came from the Hula Bowl. To the Senior Bowl. So it's good to get those extra looks.
And you talk about one of the advantages of these senior type bowl games is the recruiters are there. Yeah. Every team is represented.
All the scouts are there, yeah.
But they also get to see these young men for who they are and their personalities rather than just game film. And that is so important because there's sometimes, that little it factor that these players have that, really good recruiters can identify.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that this is like their job interview. You talked about that when we were at the Hula Bowl. You said that this is their job interview. This is an opportunity for them to showcase their talents on and off the field. And a lot of them have done that.
Well, we're going to get on to the Storm. We're really looking forward. You and I are putting together our schedules, our flight plans. Yeah. We're going to be at the away games. Yeah. Either you're going to be there solo and we'll be doing it via Zoom, or I will be there solo doing it via Zoom. And then there's a number of games you and I will be out there together.
Of course.
but we're going to have the most comprehensive coverage of the Orlando Storm in the entire market. And that is our goal, is to bring you some of that great information. But speaking of the information, so, this is a lot like the analogy of putting together the Avengers, the superheroes unite, right?
Yeah.
So we had the announcement of Anthony Beck, the head coach.
Yep. Great candidate.
Great candidate. I really like his background. His career he had at West Virginia is stellar. I mean, he's in the Mountaineer Hall of Fame. He was a standout. He was an Iron Man. I mean, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, and Anthony Beck. When you look at longevity of games, playing consecutive games,
a lot of games
that he played, it is. So his mentality is very battle ready. He is a hardened guy, and he is a disciplined guy. And that's really what a lot of these young men need, is the guidance of that discipline. And that's really what makes these great coaches. But he has now assigned his offensive and defensive coordinators. So it's like right when you get excited about a position and an assignment and a hire, the following week it doubles up. It keeps getting better.
But he went to the people he was familiar with. As you know, Anthony Beck used to be the coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks, who have had tremendous defensive and offensive players that come, and some of those young men have had an opportunity to go back to the NFL because they played for the Battlehawks, and the Battlehawks had a great season every time he was playing, every time he was the coach. So he just went back to what he was familiar with, and these young men and the coaches that he have selected to join him on the Orlando Storm's team is going to do an outstanding job with him, because this is the first year for the Orlando Storm, and he wants to do well.
Kyle Caskey, the offensive coordinator, he is going to be symbiotic in the thinking. He was the running backs coach, and I think the backs coach for the Battlehawks, but he's kind of getting a bit of a promotion. But as offensive coordinator, that relationship is already established, like you said, with the Beck. They're of the same mind on how they want to control that offense.
Yeah, for 2 years he was the coach under Coach Beck for 2 years, so he knows his likes and his dislikes. They're going to be able to work together. Otherwise, he wouldn't have hired him, right?
Right.
So I'm excited to see how this is going to transition on the field as well.
Well, the saying, the offense wins games and defense wins championships. So let's talk about Donnie Abraham being named as the defensive coordinator. I mean, this is a solid pick. I mean, like I said, this is what I looked at and I thought, wow, this is incredible. Another Battlehawks guy.
Yeah.
Another guy with like a little pseudo moving up the ladder, and a guy that's extremely familiar with Anthony Beck's style. So right out of the box, you're getting kind of a package coaching deal. There's going to be no gel period. These guys know each other.
Yeah, they know each other, and with Abraham, he's played in the NFL before. 9 years he played in the NFL, and he has some stints with the Jets, with the Bucks, but he was also with the UFL with the St. Louis Battlehawks as well. So knowing and picking who you pick and knowing who you know and how these persons operate, that's what Beck did, and he's ready. You could tell in his interviews, you could tell how excited Beck is by picking these two candidates to go ahead and bring the Storm. Hopefully he can bring them a championship this year. How powerful would that be?
Beck is really going to have a blistering offense.
Yeah, and I think he's holding back a little bit because he don't want to show his hand too much. But if you look at how the St. Louis Battlehawks played, and they were known to play in front of a huge crowd, the Battlehawks had the biggest crowd out of every team in the UFL. And they fed off of that excitement. They fed off that crowd. And that's why it's important for the Orlando Storm to have that same type of energy, because when you're playing like that, your players, offensive and defensive players, they get hyped. They live in that moment.
Oh, absolutely.
And so playing at that fast pace, playing to score points fast, that's what's going to need, but it also stems from the crowd.
When we start looking at the team itself as they're assembling, we're not going to get into that this week, but next week we're going to show all the position players because they're starting to matriculate out, and the mapping is starting to take shape. But they've got 3 solid quarterback options. Teams are QB centric, and Orlando really lucked out. They got 3 solid picks when it comes to the quarterback position, and I'm really looking forward to that high dynamic trick play and the things like that. But again, we're going to keep this one short. But I'm excited. We'll be at FanFest. I will be at
Mhm.
FanFest again. You're going to be out in doing some naval duties.
That's right, in
Some
San
retired
Diego.
San
Yeah,
Diego.
yeah.
Get out into that warm weather, right?
75 degrees is supposed to be in San Diego, so I'll take it.
You know, I hope we have a nice, cool spring. I think that's going to bode well for the Orlando Storm as they host 2 home games
Yes.
in the opening schedule and then on the road in Louisville. I think Louisville is going to be very cool, you know, when we're up there.
Yeah.
But again, FanFest is this Thursday night at 5 o'clock. I will be out there. I'll be interviewing. I'll be getting a lot of exposure to the fans and
Mhm.
the hype. We'll have some of the players will be out there in attendance. But Terry, let's talk a little bit about before we go about what's going on with the corporate structure on the corporate entity with the UFL. They're working in the backgrounds. The marketing is going to start chugging along, and I think you're going to start to see, you know, things like the billboards and the
Yeah.
advertising and,
Yeah.
you know, the really pushing for those ticket sales.
Yeah, and they're fully aware that the Super Bowl is this upcoming week, so they kind of waiting. I don't know how much they're gonna wait, but because I don't want to speak to that. But one of the things that you want to strike when the iron's hot, and a lot of people are missing football. Once the Super Bowl ends, that's it, right? You know, and
Mm-hmm.
you got the combine and things of that nature. But the actual football, this is an opportunity for the UFL to really pump a lot of marketing into and getting people excited in those different areas that they are. But not only that, to actually tune in and watch some of the
Right.
games as well. You see, the Orlando Storm is really pushing their ticket sales right now, which is highly encouraged, and they're getting people excited. I've been looking at some of the comments and things on some of these social media pages, and people are really excited about bringing an Orlando team back here. So the Storm should have more, and hopefully they can have that same number that the St. Louis Battlehawks have had, 30,000 plus each game.
A brilliant move to Inter&Co Stadium.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
intimate setting, you're going to
yeah.
have that packed. It's an electric atmosphere when they're playing soccer.
Yeah,
Uh,
that stadium is beautiful.
it is absolutely
Yeah,
beautiful. You know,
yeah,
I did the 3D tour. I
yeah.
have not personally been into that stadium,
You're in for a treat.
but it just looks incredible. And I one of my favorite things about it is the purple seats
Yeah,
and the adaptation of the team colors to work in conjunction with the Orlando Pride there in Orlando as far as bringing that color. It looks
yeah,
like it was made for the Storm,
yeah.
and I'm
Match made in heaven.
that's it. And I know when that field is decorated and all the appropriate bunting is around,
Yeah,
those, you know, bright purple seats are really going to really set it off for the fans. I'm going to give you the final word, and you can take us home. But I know you are thumb on the pulse on this whole thing.
yeah. If you are watching this, I highly recommend, if you're in the Orlando area, if you can really support this team. This team, we wanted this team to come back. We wanted a team here in Florida because the last year and a half there wasn't a team here in Florida after the Guardians left. So if you can support this team, come on out and bring the Storm, and let's get a little weathery and get a little wintry mix going on here and support this Storm team.
All right, Terry, thank you so much. I want to thank our sponsors once again, Zoa Energy Drink, the official energy drink of the UFL. Big shout out to Brandon, who has been fantastic to Terry and I with his cooperation and making sure that we can get his product in the hands of the fans. And again, we will see you at FanFest. For Terry Spain, I'm Ron Lighthall. Thank you for joining us.